Hi and welcome to today's nail video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do a cute cherry set which is very on trend. So stick with me and watch me slay these nails. So these nails have already been prepared with a gel small extension and they're ready to go. The first step I'm going to do is the French. So we're going to do some cherry red colored French and maybe one nail with a white French. So these nails have been done in like a baby pink gel color, and then I've got another sheer color over the top just to mask the nail bed a little bit. So I've got the two French colors that I'm going to use on my palette here, so that cherry red pink color and the white gel polish that I'm going to use. And I have a liner brush as well that I'm going to paint the French with. So I'll start off with the white one. So I might pop the white French on the ring fingers and then we'll do the cherry color on the others. So I pick up a bit of that gel on my brush and then I will carve out that French that I want, and I'm going to do a little bit of a deep French. So I'm going a little bit down that side wall there and then coming up in a straight line, and I'm crossing them over, making sure that I stay at the same point on both sides. Bring that up again in a straight line and then grabbing a little bit more gel polish just to get a nice smile line there and bring those two lines together. Then I load up my brush a little bit more just to fill in the rest of that French. Just perfecting along that smile line. If I do make any mistakes with the smile line, I can just clean it up with a cleanup brush and a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. Just making sure I get all the way down the side walls. And once I'm happy with that smile line, I can give that a cure. I'm just locking this in place with a handheld UV light here, and then I can continue on with the other French, and then I'll pop them all in for a full cure at the end. So just cleaning my brush now, cleaning that white off my brush and moving on to that cherry color, following that same process, loading my brush up a little bit and then just painting out that French line. Cross those two lines over together so it's like a V shape to start with, and then a little bit extra gel just in the middle and creating that nice smile line. And then I can give that one a quick cure as well with my handheld light. So I'm going to go through now and paint the rest of the nails French. It's up to you, whichever color you want to choose, if you want to do more white or more of the cherry color. And I may just do a second coat if there are any areas that need a little bit extra gel polish to make them fully opaque. Now I've painted all of the French tips, so I'm going to use a sticker bow on a couple of the feature nails, and then after that I'm going to show you how I would do the cherry, and I'm going to do that one on the white French. So I'm going to pop this little bow, I think on the pointer finger about there. I think that looks cute. So this is prior to top coat, so I've just done the French and cured that and then wiped off the tacky layer, and now I'm just going to grab one of the stickers. I've got some tweezers. Just try and lift it up a little bit. And just popping that on that French smile line there. And just pressing down. And that has a little bit of 3D and texture to it already. So I will top coat over that just to make sure that it stays in place. And now we'll do the other side as well. Pressing that down again. Okay, so that's the bows on, and now I'm going to just put a top coat over the top, and I can put a top coat over the top of all the nails now. because the cherry is going to be 3D, so it's going to be above that top coat layer. So I'm just using a small amount of top coat and just make sure that I work it into all the areas of that bow, so as the bow is nice and encapsulated by the top coat. If there's any spots of the top coat that don't get fully covered, I can use my liner brush again just to fill in any areas. Now I'll give that a flash cure with my handheld light. Now I'm just top coating the rest of the nails and I'll put them in for a full cure. So now the bow's finished, I'm going to work on the cherry. So I'm going to use that cherry color again and my liner brush, and I'm just going to map out where I want that cherry to sit on the nail. And I'm going to just paint a bit of a circle. It doesn't have to be too perfect. It's just going to give me the base for where my 3D gel is going to sit. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. And then I'll give that a cure with the handheld light. And now I'm going to use a 3D gel. There's a couple of different ways that you could do this. You could just do this by building up top coat if you don't have any 3D putty type of gel. But this one is a thicker consistency gel that you can mold with your fingers. I just pull it off the spatula there, and I can just moving it around in my fingers and make it into a bit of a ball shape. And then if I pop that on top, and I can use a brush or even a silicone tool to just pat and press that down onto that circle that I mapped out for the cherry. I don't want it to be too 3D so it doesn't annoy the client, so I'm just going to pat it down, make it a little bit flatter, and then I can use a silicone tool or even just an orange wood stick and make that little indentation at the top where that cherry stem would come out from. Just back to that. My 3D brush again. And just molding and refining the shape a little bit. Sometimes cherries are a little bit flatter on the top and a little bit more round at the bottom. So just play with that until I'm happy with the shape. I think that's about it. And I can give that a flash cure or a full cure at this point. I think I'll give it a full cure just so that's ready to go. So I've just rolled up that little piece of the putty gel and I'm just going to pop it on top of a form, and I'm going to use some brown or maybe even a little bit of green for that stem gel polish. Pop that on my palette. And then with my liner, put a little bit of brown at the end and then paint the other with a green color. And then I can flash cure that on there. And it'll just make that a little bit easier to add onto my cherry. I can put a little bit of gel just into that little indentation that I made in the cherry. Now I'm picking up that stem with my tweezers and popping the end of it there into that little indentation, and then just sitting that around where I want it to sit. I'll give it a cure just to lock it in place, and I can just trim it to size again if I need to. I'm going to add a little bit more that brown again just to the end. Now I'm going to top coat all over the cherry. You can see that magnetic gel underneath and the glitter pieces will shift a little bit. Just want to fully encapsulate the cherry with the top coat and just be careful that it doesn't drip down onto the nail. And then I also just want to make sure that that stem is stuck down nicely, so I'll pop a little bit of top coat underneath that as well. And then I can use my handheld light just to push that down and cure at the same time. And then I'll give that a full cure in the lamp, and then I'm going to move on to the other hand and finish off. I'm going to do 2 smaller cherries on the other hand. Depends on which one you like. You can choose to do 1 of each, or you could do 2 single cherries, totally up to you. Now I've finished both of the cherries. I've got the double one on this side and the single one on that side. I'm just going to rehydrate the nails with a little bit of cuticle oil and then massage that in, and they're all done. Thank you for watching this cute cherry tutorial, and if you do have a go at this, let us know in the comments and also tell us what you'd like to see next.